Now, morals for every sign, it has a different perception. And because our morals compass was set at the fourth house, it will be very important to be aware of what signs, or impulses as planets or aspects are at your fourth house to realize how you realized your personal moral intuition. I'll go through the 12 signs just so we can relate a little on how different this can be. As far as Aries, the value is in honesty and directness. So the moral compass can be set to emphasize a sense of integrity and courage. We know that through integrity and courage, we avoid cowardice behaviors, betrayal, deceit, things of that nature. So it's consistent, as you see, with moral value. Taurus values loyalty and stability. And you know that this moral disposition can emphasize protection of loved ones and upholding your word, keeping your word. Your word is your bond, making sure that your word never fails and that you always show endurance when it comes to challenges in your commitment. You want to be seen as consistent in that energy, reliable, dependent, not making excuses. As Gemini, you can value communication and adaptability, so the focus could be on understanding others' perspectives, that there are different ways to see things, remaining open-minded and not dogmatic, closed-minded, or intolerant to other possibilities. Of course, with all of these, you could consider it at your first house or your sun sign, also your moon placement as well. Cancer values empathy and nurturing, which this can have a moral disposition as the source of moral wisdom around well-being and security. Yes, for others, but especially family and loved ones. Understand? So it's about security and well-being. Are you okay? Do you need an advocate? Are you lacking in anything that will serve to nurture you or further your sense of being cared for? Understand? So when it comes to these things, there's a sensitivity about whether or not that is done, followed through, or rather it is available or not. For Leos, the value is generosity and leadership. And this moral compass is geared toward standing up for what's right and also bringing the right influence, charisma to others that keeps them encouraged, feeling strong, capable, and believing in themselves. Good rapport in the environment. This is a defender of justice. As for Virgo, the value is in practicality and service. And with practicality and service, as well as efficiency being the main thing, Virgo has a focus on refinement, how others can improve what's in the way of someone's efficiency and best expression of their self. So the moral compass is geared toward homing in on justifying these matters or defending these matters. Libra values fairness and harmony. I like to use the word viscosity when it comes to that. How can I harmonize, make things easier? And Libra is very close to the moral compass, as Libra represents the ethical disposition rather than the moral disposition. And that is more so of a code of conduct that's consistent with justice, fairness, and doing no harm. So Libra seeks for balance in things, diplomacy, negotiation, justice in social matters and family situations. Libra can argue as the lawyer. It is the attorney of energies. Understand? And so conduct, justice, relatability, diplomacy, these are the things that their moral sensitivity can be inclined to. And all of these that I'm mentioning of signs and energies, what it's about is securing against the lack of those energies, okay, by being proactive. So, as for Scorpio, values loyalty and depth. And that loyalty and depth, we know that Scorpio is always seeking for deeper connections. It's not enough to be on the surface. I have to know everything. I have to go all the way deep. And if it's surface or frivolous, it really isn't important to me. So the deep connection is everything. So the priority here is in honesty, transparency. Can I trust you? Are you trustworthy? What are you hiding? And no matter how difficult it is, I want to know the truth. And Scorpio is always looking for what has to transform, what has to sacrifice in order to change. What are the limits of your power, the limitations of your power? And seeing the limitations of power, Scorpio is looking to suffer the disillusionment that it takes, the surrender and sacrifice that it takes to get you to the other side of empowerment through renewal of the self, transformation of the self. So this is why Scorpio is always homing in on, okay, what is this person's limitations and their personal power? Sagittarius values freedom and truth. And often this can be about having the freedom to explore and expand, and also the freedom to express one's personal convictions and beliefs. And Sagittarius never wants to see anyone subject to limitations when it comes to that, restrictions when it comes to that, or oppression when it comes to that. Freedom is everything for Sagittarius. As for Capricorn, the value is in responsibility and discipline, which it's about the moral inclination here is about rectitude, accountability, and order. And rather or not, there is infrastructure, discipline, and obedience to prevail what would resist an orderly life. It's looking for standards, and it's looking for a demonstration of strength, not giving in to the flesh, missing opportunity because of it. With Aquarius, the value is in innovation and humanitarianism. It's about the people, the public, where the service is at for the people, what is bigger than the self. And this often goes with prioritizing social issues, the collective, the status of the collective, and making sure that ideas remain progressive, forward-thinking, futuristic, and that it's never held or limited by current circumstances. So the moral disposition can be inclined to defend social opportunities. Okay, now Pisces values compassion and intuition, selflessness, even unto self-sacrifice, and often focuses on, through the moral disposition, making sure that others are understood, that kindness, compassion, and understanding are always with how we interpret the behaviors of others, the expressions of others, and the needs of others. And when these things are violated, the moral compass of Pisces feels inclined or obligated to act on behalf of those who are subject to any kind of oppression. Understand? Okay, so these are the 12 different dispositions of our moral compass intuition at the fourth house. So all of us have a different expression of moral outlooks. And what I'm going to go over, it has to do with the value of moral in and of itself. And this topic is being held because we have Jupiter transiting Cancer. We also have Venus that has entered Cancer. So this is where morals are going to be translated into ethical standards, code of procedure, and conduct as Venus passes through Cancer in this season. And this is because there's a restoration, a revival of sort, okay, of our moral standing in society collectively. This is in the aftermath of feminism, liberalism, and Rothschild, Rockefeller, Machiavellian, Ahrimanic ideals of ourselves, ruthless ambition, violations of moral law within the self in order to obtain. So this restoration is necessary. What I just went over is also consistent with life path and heart soul urge numbers, of course. That is a strong indicator of where our moral compass is set to specifically for every one of us. Okay? Your heart soul urge number that's your guiding moral compass that keeps you secure. It keeps you feeling accountable, and it keeps you in a clear conscience. As far as the life path, that moral subjugation is what you are learning to be sensitive to, that you are learning to tune in with, understand. And so this is why it's also important for you to get your natal birth chart reading so that you can be in tune to the details of your chart, which is the details of yourself, not guessing or assuming, right? So let's jog through this portion about morals, the fourth house, Cancer, and the moon as part of what we are going to go over concerning morals, ethics, and code of conduct, as well as law. Okay, we need to understand these things, and later on we'll talk about civics. But let's start where it all begins. So, what you value and the moral intuition that you're able to innately realize, it has everything to do with your heart soul urge expression, as well as your first house. The first house arrangement is consistent with where particular values at particular houses must be in order to form the personality trait of the first house. The second house is what you value the most. The fourth house is how you realize those values as moral convictions. Understand? So value and conviction, well, value and morals, it goes together. Just like the moon and Venus are two expressions of divine feminine, one is the mature high priestess, mother, or even grandmother of the divine feminine, the moon, and one is the adolescence of divine feminine, Venus. Okay? So we're starting with the moon. Then we'll address Venus. And this is especially important, okay, in contrast with feminism. I cannot emphasize that enough. Even though you don't like me talking about it or saying it, it is what it is. And it should be studied. It should be paid attention to. It should be acknowledged. When you talk about the moon or you talk about Cancer, you are talking about the woman, not the female. You are talking about the woman. A woman is formed out of the nature of the female, subject to the discipline of Saturn. Understand? So, let's get into these details now that we are aware of that. Like, share, subscribe, comment as you go. Share what you know, share what you think. Just make it all inclusive. You heard? Let's go. When you look at a crab, which is an archetypal symbol of Cancer, you intuitively know that much of its expression, symbolism, meaning, has to do with the manifestation of security, protection, being safe. And so that what is vulnerable, most vulnerable, remains preserved. And that is the true and living being, the true and living self. It has to have preservation. And what secures it, what protects it, is our moral commitment. When we don't have that moral commitment, our life is full of insecurities and fears. Simply because, in betrayal of our moral compass, constitutional law, matriarchal, we subject ourselves to much pain and suffering. We subject ourselves to consequences, self-infliction. We subject ourselves to regrets, burdens, and debts. We subject ourselves to all kinds of harm and karma. Because intuition, moral insight, that integrity, that standing, that sense of righteousness, it guards us from such consequences, from such experiences. When we don't want to have the matriarchal law or constitution as what we consult as an oracle for our decisions, our conduct, our behavior, how we interact, we will no longer trust ourselves. And as projection, we will not trust others. We also will fail to gauge safety, harm, danger, risk. Subjugation becomes the outcome, and you have no one to blame except yourself. Morals that we learn from the fourth house, first of all, in our upbringing, is where we get in tune with what is socially acceptable, or even what is acceptable for the self. It indicates our awareness of customary behaviors. What I'm working up to is our awareness of ethics and how morals and ethics is harnessed by the moon and Venus. The moon being the mother, Venus being the daughter. Morals are first. It's unique to your ancestral lineage, cultural customs and norms, religious norms and customs. And the aim of it is so that everyone within a particular environment or interaction, engagement, can feel safe in their vulnerability, so that threat is reduced, minimized, or neutralized, so that what we do and say is conducive with peace, with harmony, and with justice. Peace, harmony, and justice. Morals are the only way that we can agree with each other and being considerate of and accountable to the sensitivities of each other. Am I my brother's keeper? Am I my sister's keeper? What I'm about to discuss is really in light of what's being emphasized after and the aftermath of feminism as a downfall and liberalism. Liberalism went directly against the moral compass of the American society. It accelerated during the Obama era, and as so-called African American females assisted Obama with spreading this and establishing a morally corrupt, a morally bankrupt expression of society, we lost touch with what used to give us a sense of security, predictability, dignity, respect mutually, and trust. Right and wrong, good and bad became obscured, foggy, confusing, misinterpreted, and cancer culture made sure that no one could attempt to revive it through the means of truth, not without consequence. And that's where feminism assisted with the moral deprivation of the society, the moral decline of the society. The only way to revive it, to restore it, to get it back, is to go from whence it came. And for whence it came is the true and living being. But to get to the true and living being, you have to separate the true and living being from that which was misleading it. And that is the shadow of Venus and the shadow of Saturn. Rothschild Rockefeller mission, Machiavellian will, ambitious will, and Venus addictions to lust, validation, emotional codependencies on attention and validation, status, quick fixes. All of these things got us away from the true and living being within. The true and living being is upon the matriarchal law. It's preserved by matriarchal law. The true and living being, the natural person, not the fictitious character. The number 9 hermit card, Virgo, at the South Node brings us to isolation. And that isolation was to purge us from that entrapment, as Uranus gave us deliverance which is to initiate our freedom even against our will that lacked being informed. What's your ethos? Second house, Taurus, house of value. What's your ethos? That has been obscured. Ethos is the root word of ethics. Understand, Venus and the moon are closely associated in how morals expands into ethics in society. Right now, we will focus on morals. Good or bad, right or wrong. This is justice according to the God consciousness within. This is justice according to the Divine Mother within. This is Yemeya or Yemoja's justice. The scales of justice according to the court of heaven. Understand, all of our moral standards, ideals, and expressions will take different forms, but in essence, it is all the same. It is honoring the divine expression of the self through honoring others as the self. The wisdom of the protective Divine Mother. To thyself do no harm, to others do no harm. There are behaviors that we could be addicted to, lifestyle choices, something as simple as, out of greed, I may have a certain capacity in my finances, and here I go to the car lot, and I get this car or this truck that's way beyond my capacity. I move into this community, this house or this apartment or this townhouse or whatever else that's far beyond my capacity. But through Venus, I want to shine like the sun, even though I am not going the route of the sun, which is through the actual destiny. Understand how this works. So now I put myself in unnecessary burden, stress, obligation, and contracts that I know I cannot fulfill. What am I doing? I am actively oppressing myself. I am being unjust to myself. And because of the addiction to it, the codependency on the feedback that I get from obtaining these things and posing the illusion of such status, I can't let it go. So now I'm a prison to my own lusts. So deliverance has to manifest to set me free, and that's where Uranus comes in. You're in over your head, kid. You're doing too much. I'm going to take this from you. It's going to hurt. You're going to fall into a little isolation because number 9, Virgo Hermit card is going to intercept you. And that's when you're going to find your ability to part ways with the detriment of Venus in your being. And you're going to realize the renewal of your life as you embrace this isolation into solitude, now connecting with the true and living person, the true and living being within, after being revived and nurtured by the Divine Mother, Cancer, the source, the moon. Letting intuition and the oracle of lunar light guide you to justice to the self and not oppression to the self. And when you are in that position, you are just to others, just as you are just to yourself. You cannot treat others in a way that you cannot treat yourself. We know that all expressions of all signs and the zodiac wheel is an expression of love. This is one of them. The moral foundation of love. This is what we've lost since the height of the Obama era, and is being restored for us. This restoration has to be catalyzed, of course, through Capricorn Pholus. Okay, Capricorn Pholus. Pholus is causing unexpected unpredictable turns of events in the infrastructure of our life, in our connection to certain ambitions in our life. And what seems like something so insignificant, it unfolds into undoings that causes deep transformations, that dismantles an infrastructure of Capricorn that has now been outlived, of the Capricorn and Machiavellian energy, that Ahrimanic impulse. And what that does is it causes a natural expansion of our realization of Cancer Jupiter, the abundance of Mother Divine, the big breast of Mother Divine. Not realizing that you needed what she has to offer you, but it took the crisis for you to realize it. It took the crisis for you to see it. 300,000 African American women in particular, 160,000 let go from government jobs, and gays let go from government jobs and corporate careers. What looks like catastrophe, that is actually the Capricorn Pholus manifesting on those Venus impulses, Venus archetypes. And what it's doing is it's causing an expansion of awareness in those particular type of people of the importance of the very thing that feminism and capitalism taught them does not hold precedence or importance or priority in their life over their ambitious pursuits for career status and consumerism. It's reopening their awareness of that importance. It's going to cause a whole entire world and infrastructure that they built on the Machiavellian impulse, the corporate model, the corporate addiction of status and title competition, money, status and title, consumerism, competition, ambition. These things by Pholus is being undone through such events of what looks like catastrophes and what looks like bad situations. Collectively, it's going to sweep through the nation. That Cancer Jupiter energy, the Two of Cups, where Venus is passing through now, first decan of Cancer. The Three of Cups, where Jupiter is passing now through the second decan of Cancer. These energies, which is about restoration of relationships, enrichment of relationships, especially through family and community, is going to restore the true and living being's connection to life through family and relationships. What this is doing is it's starving out or weakening the incorporated fictitious character that we invest all of our life force into, even though it is a corpse, it is a dead person. It literally is a dead person. The all caps identity. And it's transferring our focus, our energy, our pouring into the true and living person, which is a natural person. Feminism and capitalism, corporate ideals and ambitions, Machiavellian Ahrimanic mindset, it has taken us away from the source of life in us that guides us to a civilized fulfillment of life through man, woman, and child. And all of this is coming back to be restored. Looking back, we will realize how we were tricked and fooled and beguiled by the regimes of feminism and liberalism. Even Malcolm X came to warn black people about liberalism. Even Al-Hajj Malik Shabazz warned people about fucking with liberalism. And that's exactly what was indulged in that became the detriment of our modern crisis as a community, especially starting with Obama. College campuses are a brainwashing facility that turns the minds of impressionable youth into corporate and liberal reciters, regurgitators, lifeless, incorporated, fictitious characters defending things that are futile, not in their best interests, undoing that which leads directly to their own fulfillment. In irony, it creates a lustful appetite for status and career, worshiping status and career. Career is the modern woman. But God is coming to save her from that lie. Now, it's important to note that morals goes as far as your community, your household, your family, your relationship, those who you have a familiarity with, those who you have a consistency with, and mutual agreements, mutual and common agreements. Because what is morally acceptable for one people is not morally acceptable for another. I'll give you an example. With myself being raised as a Muslim, it was not morally acceptable to shake hands of women, to hug women, or to be alone with women while there are no witnesses. In other cultures, like, you go to another household or whatever, people don't have problems with shaking hands with a woman, hugging a woman, or whatever else. It's part of the cultural tradition of most environments. And it's not appropriate to say that my way is right and your way is wrong. But it's a common agreement in the community that you identify with, in the community that you sourced your values from, the community that you source your morals from. And they can become transferable. When they become transferable, now we're getting into ethics. That's really the difference. But everything starts with your morals. The transits that we have is a restoration of morals in this hour. Cancer Jupiter. The Divine Mother wants to give life back to us as true and living beings, but we can't have that without our moral integrity. Because relationships cannot have fulfillment, happiness, or peace without the moral integrity, allowing us to stand vulnerable between each other, allowing us to be in an intimate space without doing harm to each other. Trust has to be there. There has to be a code, a standard, a common agreement that allows every person to feel honored, respected, safe, from the other person's hand and tongue. Prophet Muhammad once said, a believer is one from whom another believer is safe from the hand and their tongue. Imagine if we would decide that I'm going to guarantee whoever's around me, whoever I deal with, whoever I interact with, that they are safe from my hand and safe from my tongue. That is a hell of a practice every day. We can make many victories just with that practice alone. When morals are thrown away, you're in danger. Because this is where the stories come from. Of people who walk around like victims all day. People who walk around with fingers pointed, accusing. Oh, this person hurt me. This person wronged me. This happened to me. And I went through this and I was traumatized by this and I was traumatized by that. If these things are not things, for example, that we experience, okay, in our early childhood, all right, where we were powerless, we were helpless to determine the outcome of things. But as adults, when we fail to use our intuition, when we fail to obey our intuition, when we fail to acknowledge and obey our moral compass, when we fail to honor our moral values and principles, when we betray and walk away from and act like we didn't hear our divine inner oracle and intuition tell us right from wrong, good from bad, you end up becoming someone who subjects their self to trauma, subject their self to pain, subject their self to regrets, subject their self to heartache, subject yourself to misery. And you want to act like a victim all your damn life. Oh, so-and-so did this and they did that and people are always doing this and people are... It's... A lot of our pain is because we refuse to listen to our intuition. A lot of our suffering is because of our refusal to show obedience to the oracle within that's telling us right from wrong, good for bad. What's right for us, what's good for us, what's bad for self. Ignoring it. Pour a little more liquor so I can't hear that voice. Turn the music up so I can't hear that voice. Go out into the crowd so I can't hear that voice. We deliberately and intentionally betray, outstrip, reject, disobey, go against the divine matriarchal law that was set there as a constitution to preserve our dignity, our peace, our security, the harmony within. That's where it comes from. And you end up walking the earth feeling unsafe, feeling so guarded, so angry and bitter. Feeling like somebody owe you something. On guard all the time. Because you're in a habit of not listening to your oracle, not respecting your oracle, not listening to your intuition. You don't care what the fuck your inner child got to say about what you're doing and how you're doing it. But instead of listening to the moon, you listen to Venus. That's the problem right there. Our morals is to listen to the moon over Venus. The moon is a superior to Venus. She is the queen, the high priestess of Venus. Venus can never have authority over the moon. But you want to listen to Venus, who she the girl that come by honk the horn. That Venus impulse is like the girls with the short skirts in a fast car that come honk the horn while you cussing and arguing back at your mother, and your mother just trying to tell you right from wrong. Your mother trying to save your life. Your mother trying to protect you from heartache and pain. Your mother trying to tell you not to be going out here, dating these knuckleheads and sleeping around with the drug dealers. She trying to tell you not to be in these certain environments or go outside, dress certain ways, because she knows it's going to subject you to heartache and pain, regrets, turmoil, stress, oppression, depression, self-hatred, confusion, low self-esteem, getting pregnant too early, so on and so forth. She trying to save your ass, but you don't want to listen. Instead, you want to listen to Venus instead of listen to the moon. You see, as above, so below. The same thing that happens in heaven is the same thing that happens on earth. And what we have been doing is we've been listening to the girl in the miniskirt instead of your mother, who loves you. The girl in the miniskirt don't love you. She loves the thrill. She loves the excitement. She loves the fun. She loves a good time. Hot girl summer, turn up. That's what she loves. But your mother loves you. And you act hateful toward her for standing between you and that which you desire. Standing between you and that which you want to justify. And what you want to justify is the very thing that has you come back later talking about you a victim. You got all these sad stories of how you was done wrong and oppressed and just abused and mistreated and la 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 la, and you subjected yourself to it all. That's who we become when we don't listen to the moon, the lunar impulse, the intuitive wisdom, the oracle, the divine matriarchal law and constitution within the self, the first authority of our life. That's what happens. Who's the one that writes you when your ass get locked up? Your mama or your grandmama. Nobody else writes you letters. Who else come visit you when your ass get locked up? Your mama or your grandmama. Who else put money on your books? Your commissary. Your homeboy stopped doing that shit after what? The first week? They don't visit you. They don't put money on your books. They don't write you letters. They don't come to the hearings. It's you by your fucking self. Your mother. Anytime you suffering, she's there. But when you have a good time, you can't hear shit she gotta say. You can't hear nothing your mama gotta say when you having a good time or when you want to do what the fuck you want to do. You got your big titties now, you got your big ass now, you're pretty, all the niggas is looking for you. Everybody in your DMs. And your mom's just trying to tell you, trying to warn you from this and warn you from that. But she don't understand. She don't understand. No, bitch, you don't understand. Yeah. This is how every one of us are. We all are like this within the feminine aspect of the self. Our morals protects and preserves our sense of peace, security, and fulfillment. When we violate that, we deprive ourselves of fulfillment, peace, and security. This is the point I'm making. Peace, security, and fulfillment is not going to come from that job that you're chasing, the next car that you want, the status that you're looking for, the career goals, the degree. If I could get with this guy, if I could get with this girl, if I could make this amount of money. Nope. Fulfillment ain't coming from that. Peace ain't coming from that. Security ain't coming from that. It's not coming from nothing out of Capricorn. No, it ain't. It's coming from Cancer. And that's what God is trying to show us right now. It's where peace, security, and fulfillment comes from. It comes from the water trine, tomato, however you want to say it. Cancer is a foundation of that. If you don't have peace within a child, you don't have peace. You're just taking an aspirin with everything that you're doing, trying to disguise the fact that you really go and do it. And you're projecting it as you go unwittingly. This is what we learned during the Cancer Mars retrograde. The Cancer Mars retrograde showed us that when it comes to our righteous anger, we want to justify violations to our moral constitution. We want to justify disobedience to the moral constitution. Because we feel slighted and angry, we feel bitter, we feel like somebody owes us something. We feel like we was done wrong. But then when you get down to the discovery of it, you subjected yourself to the very thing that caused you bitterness in your life, that caused you anger in your life. And you step over everything that was supposed to be a resolution of that because it requires too much focus, too much slowing down, too much isolation. We have addictive cords plugged in to so many other people trying to get validation and console. This moral compass has to be restored, replenished. The divine constitution of the matriarchy within the being, knowing right from wrong, good for bad, in the soul, in the spirit. We can't subject ourselves to regrets, pain, victimization, and everything else if we learn to listen to our intuition and our guiding compass within, to consult the oracle within the self. That's where the clarity stays at. That clarity nobody could take that. Nobody could take that peace and that security from you. It's something that you give away through your disobedience. You manifest the hellfire and you sit your ass in there and you burn and get crispy, nigga. Fuck you talking about? You heard? First of all, let's go over Cancer as it relates to our moral compass, commitment, duty, the source, the foundation of matriarchal wisdom, law, intuition. This is the foundation of the civilized person. This is the source of the civilized person. This is the only force that makes you civilized. Everything else is irrelevant as to whether we are civilized or not. It is Cancer. The matriarchal principle is first and foundational for us to realize who we are in the image and likeness of God as civilized people. This is the law of the natural person. Acknowledge my key words. This is the law of the natural person. This is not the law of the fictitious character, the incorporated person. That is according to ethics and policy. The natural person adheres to the matriarchal law. The incorporated person answers to 1 Corinthians 15:33, you heard? Do not be deceived. Bad company ruins good morals. Understand? All right, check it. Matthew 7:12, you heard? The golden rule. So whatever you wish that others would do to you, do also to them. How easy we forget. How many of y'all out here watch Bambi growing up? What did Thumper say? Put in the comments what Thumper said. You know what I mean? If you come from that generation, tell us what Thumper said. Romans 13:8-10, right? Owe no one thing. Owe no one anything, all right? Owe no one anything. That's first. Owe no one anything. It's telling you to settle your debts. Don't walk around owing somebody an apology. Don't walk around owing somebody money. Owing somebody back fair treatment or justice. Pay your debts. Pay your debts. Asking for pardon, apologizing, or asking for forgiveness, that's part of paying debts too. How you gonna have a relationship with anybody for a long period of time and you never had to apologize? That's impossible. It's impossible not to owe somebody an apology. When you have a relationship of any kind with someone, it's impossible at some point you are going to have to apologize. It's impossible. So let me ask you and let me ask me this question. When was the last time you apologized to somebody? How often do you apologize to people who you have a relationship with in your life? If you can't remember the last time you apologized, you know you a piece of shit. You a piece of shit. I'm sorry, you are a piece of goddamn shit. If you ain't never apologized to nobody this year. You can't even remember the last time you apologized to somebody. You ain't worth a damn. You a piece of damn shit. Owe no one anything except to love each other. Love does no wrong to a neighbor. Therefore, love is the fulfilling of the law. What law? Matriarchal law. Come on. It's a fulfilling of matriarchal law, not patriarchal law. It's a fulfilling of matriarchal law. Cancer, the moon. The ultimate of what matriarchal law in the inner being, this constitution. It is to guide us to the practice of love, the demonstration of love, the culture of love, the wisdom of love, the consideration of love, to pay the debt of love. Let's understand that. Patriarchal law. Here's the difference. The incorporated fictitious character has its source as patriarchal law. The natural person has its source as matriarchal law. Please consider that with what I've been explaining consistently concerning the identity, the natural person, fictitious character, and the claim of our identity. This is the divine aspect of the self, the divine image of the self, the divine constitution of the self. It is matriarchal in its root and source, not patriarchal. The incorporated person, all caps, cannot make decisions according to matriarchal wisdom. Those decisions have to come to come through patriarchal insights and foresights. The fictitious character moves through worlds of contractual agreements, finding the interest between estates, trusts, duties, obligations. The natural person has its root in matriarchal law, which is to maneuver through the sensitivities of others. The innate sensitivities in others. Honoring the spiritual image in every person. How you make someone feel. How you affect someone's consciousness or heart. What effect you are taking or consequence you are taking to a person's inalienable rights. Having a fair estimation of your brother or sister who walks the earth. In equal esteem. The Capricorn patriarchal law is very cold. Its policies are inconsiderate, brutal, ruthless. Matriarchal comes from the opposite end. My greatest concern is how I'm affecting you, how I'm making you feel, what emotional load or burden that I'm subjecting you to, what psychological crisis, capacity, thresholds that I'm subjecting you to. It is a motherly disposition, as patriarchal is a fatherly disposition. Both are necessary, both are equally important here in the earth, but we need to understand that the order goes matriarchal is fucking first. It's the core. We all know that when we're conducting business, paying bills, political or legal demands and expectations, campaigns, at the corporate offices, trying to climb the corporate ladder, harmonizing the environments and the demands and the schedule. It has us to go against matriarchal insight, matriarchal wisdom, matriarchal intuition, matriarchal acknowledgement of the self. It has us to even cut ourselves off from that sensitivity. But we completely ignore it in order to reach the heights of corporate success. We turn it off, ignoring the inner child's voice, ignoring divine wisdom of the oracle, the lunar moon, the constitution of the deepest inner self, the core of the self, putting yourself, subjecting yourself to emotional turmoil in order to have things, buy things, purchase things, obtain certain status, compete, win, get by, get to the bag, so on and so forth. We betray her matriarchal majesty within the self. Ifa Yoruba tradition, this is called Yemeya. the mother of the salty oceans. Yameya, the mother of the salty oceans, also called Yamoja. She is source. And by following patriarchal impulses without reverencing the wounds that bore us matriarchy, we corrupt ourselves. We distance ourselves from our humanity, from the nature of us that makes us divine. We close our understanding as we become alienated from compassion for ourselves and compassion for others, as compassion and understanding are twins. This is the crisis in feminism. Feminism teaches women that they're fighting for women's rights, equality. But in truth, what feminism does is it subjects women to patriarchy in practice. It causes them to go directly against matriarchal wisdom, intuition, knowing, connectedness, the own core of compassion, insight. They darken their own moon. They lose their own image, in which they themselves are the archetypes of the moon in their maturity. But development gets arrested when they are subject to that regime of feminism. You become a supporter of patriarchal law, unknowingly, unwittingly, creating your own demise. Alienation from your own emotional core, where you don't even know yourself anymore. Forcing yourself into coldness, harshness, ruthlessness, competition, insensitivity, in order to make it up that corporate ladder, in order to compete with men, in order to be something that you're fucking not. You want to talk about matriarchy? Let's really talk about matriarchy. You say you're for matriarchy? Let's see you really find the courage to be honest with yourself and what matriarchy is really about. And if you learn the truth about matriarchy, will you change your ways? Will you change your ways? If you have the proper understanding of matriarchy, will you change your ways? Because it's not what you learn in college campuses and the liberal indoctrination. This is how we get to a place where females in our society don't know what the fuck a woman is. Ask Ketanji Jackson. Oh, a black woman in Supreme Court Justice. Oh, this is phenomenal. The first black woman to have. They asked this bitch what a woman is. And she sat her black ass up there and act like she had fucking amnesia as to what a woman is. And she had a chance to be a hero for all women in the world by stating what a woman is. But because she is consistent with the patriarchal law, the patriarchal outcome, the patriarchal ideal of spreading objection to the matriarchal principle, exposing society and children to greater harm and moral alienation, she pleaded the fifth. The bitch act like she had amnesia. That is mutiny and betrayal to the throne of the matriarchal queendom. It is treason to the matriarchal throne to sit her black ass up there and pretend like she don't know what the fuck a woman is, because it will go against the agenda, which fulfills itself through patriarchy. The ultimate end of those females who participate in feminism, these liberal agendas, you do nothing but sign up to work for Satan. You become wicked, self-destructive, and an enemy to the greatest expression in life, which is family. The family unit, man, woman, and child, not just woman and child. You become an enemy to the family unit. Just like it is questionable whether or not Israel is committing genocide right now. It is questionable whether or not feminism is responsible for another form of genocide through abortions, especially with the African American so-called community. The numbers are equal. And how many motherfuckers is getting killed over those two regimes? They are one. Wicked agendas. Let's get back to this exploration. The innate divine matriarchal intuition. It is innate. It's in our nature. The moral compass. It is also something that we receive by being informed in our early years through religion or culture or the teachings of those whose care we are entrusted to. The matriarchal foundation of Cancer and the moon has its home at the fourth house. The fourth house. This is where our moral compass is established, where it is calibrated, where it is set. It is internal and it is external. Internally, we have a conscience. We know right from wrong and we know good from bad. God designed us to be that way. Our conscience haunts us when we do something that is contrary to what is good. When we do something that is not just or fair, unequal. You ask a child to share something, they will give, and then they will look back at their portion and see if it is equal. And they will look back again at what they gave or shared to see if there's an equality there. Children have this innately in themselves. It is also something that we can receive enlightenment upon. The moral compass, right, wrong, good, or bad. You grow up in a Muslim household, a Christian household, or whatever other spiritual practices, it is all universal. It is all the same. It's where our moral teachings are amplified and insisted. It's where there is emphasis on those moral values and principles. This usually comes from the voice of the mother. The voice of the father enforces what the voice of the mother instructs. It's the mother's instincts. It's the mother's wisdom. It's the mother's tongue. It's the mother's voice that sets that compass. Not the father. The father is the one who enforces it. Are there exceptions? Yes. Okay? For the dickheads in the back that's always looking for a fucking exception. Alright? Here's your fucking exception. It's understood, don't have to be explained. God damn. So, the mother is the one who lifts her voice and say, hey, that's not nice. That's not fair. Stop playing so rough. Did you lie? No. Don't lie. Don't say it like that. Don't do it like that. That's mean. You're being insensitive. Because she is the one who is deeper connected to kindness, friendliness, gentleness, mercy, compassion, understanding. She is intimately tied to these expressions and sensitivities. She is the oracle of kindness, the oracle of mercy. And not only does she instruct this to the children, she also enlightens her husband through that same lunar light, further civilizing him. It is women who civilizes societies. It's their moral compass that civilizes societies. It's their sensitivities that tells us what is or what is not civilized, what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. It is the woman's nature that lets us know that. The thresholds, the intuitive thresholds of man, the instinctive thresholds of man, it does not have the sensitivities of a woman to know or understand what is appropriate or not appropriate as a standard of conduct and behavior. It is not our place. It's not our jurisdiction. We are meant to manifest prior to and after the fall of, the corruption of, the dissolve of order, civilization, security. The nature of man is designed to be prior to and after matriarchal establishment. The construction site is a dangerous environment. And that is when men permeate the construction site of the dangerous environment in order to make it safe, secure, harmonious, or even beautiful for dwelling. And he brings it to where he subjects everything of that construction site to the laws of physics, policy, codes, specs, for the ultimate aim of it having order and peace. The ultimate aim of it being safe and secure. And what lets us know what is safe and secure? The sensitivities of women and children. Is the building safe enough for a woman or child to walk through here, to pass through here, to do business in here, to move in here and live? If it's not safe enough for women and children, it is not of appropriate standard. You cannot gauge that by man. Man is designed to exist peacefully even in chaos. Exist peacefully even in the midst of war, breakdown, violence, destruction. Our nature is different. As a carpenter, I can tell you all the time, I sleep outside on a stack of plywood, building or construction materials on lunch break. Take my nap and lay on plywood or some fucking scaffold material, whatever. We make our bed wherever we stand. That's the nature of man. We don't have to have luxury, all these colors and textures and smells in the atmosphere and all this, a whole bunch of bedroom. Man don't need that. If a man has a 6x6 fucking cell, some dumbbells, video games, and a fucking pillow or a blanket, he's in fucking paradise. He can make peace of it. Most women could never do that. Women need a lot of shit to be content. Things have to be up to par. The conditions have to be a certain way for them to find a peace of mind. Man can find a peace of mind in the most chaotic and worst of situations and circumstances. He lives in a hood, bullets flying everywhere. When he step outside, he's at home. Step outside, gunpowder, dog shit, and pizza. Yeah, that's what Brooklyn smell like. Understand? But you're at home. Innate, divine, matriarchal intuition. Now, the fourth house, this is where your moral compass gets set. It's the environment where you learn or realize what is good, bad, right, or wrong. What is acceptable behavior or not. The parents and the siblings, they inform you, they teach you, they groom you. They mold and carve this aspect of you to be sensitive to certain areas of interaction with yourself and with other people. It's where you realize what there is to feel a little shame about, to have some shame. Shame is a part of our moral compass. Prophet Muhammad, may peace be upon him, once said, if you feel no shame, then do as you will. And what that means is that it really makes no difference if you don't feel shame about what you're doing. You're at the limitation of your consciousness in the first place. Your consciousness ends where your shame ends. Whatever you're not ashamed of, your consciousness is not actively informing you of when you're reaching moral thresholds or not. When you start producing shameless behavior and conduct. You go out in public and you behave in ways that are repulsive, shameful, indignant, rude, disrespectful, violent, or whatever else, and you feel no shame about it. Your moral compass is warped. It shows that as you grew up, no one gave you the thresholds of moral rectitude. You didn't have limitations placed on you about your behavior and conduct. You were not taught self-awareness through these emotional developmental opportunities in the fourth house. So you lack self-awareness. That self-awareness helps you to see what other people might see in you if you speak or behave or act in these different type of ways. The norms around you, what is acceptable, what is normal. You grow up in a household where everybody's cussing each other out. You grow up in a household where they throwing pots and knives at each other. You grow up in a hospital where people are doing drugs or snorting coke or whatever else. These things are reading to you as acceptable, and as you grow, you feel no shame about it. Your moral compass does not kick in and trigger. So what this shows is that our moral compass is set and calibrated at different capacities. Our thresholds are at different limitations. Everybody doesn't have the same moral compass. And this is the part that ascends to ethics, okay? Because morals will never be the same from household to household, from person to person. And the capacity of a mind can see things that the other capacity of the mind cannot see. So you could have several siblings in a household, and one sibling sees into the depth of something that another sibling cannot see. So the threshold of morality has limitation in the one who doesn't see so far or have sensitivities that can reach so far and read the energies that are there. So there's a lack of depth with a moral compass in some. So a household moral law or moral ideal, moral code cannot be the standard of a society. It can only be a standard for the culture of that home, of that household, of that community, of that family. Understand? That's where ethics comes in, and we're going to talk about ethics. What morals are really there to keep us cognizant of is what we are doing or failing to do to create or co-create a safe space. A safe space. The fourth house is where you need to feel vulnerable. That's the place where you should be able to let your guard down and be vulnerable, be exposed. Where there should be transparency, where there should be an acceptance of what is most natural or authentic of you. At the fourth house. When we observe moral wisdom, it helps us to participate in preserving the security, the emotional security of an environment. An environment within the self, an environment between you and others, no matter where you go, it's an environment. It's a weather, it's an atmosphere. When we show that we have a healthy moral compass, self-awareness from an emotional standpoint as well, sensitivities to right, wrong, good, or bad, a care and inclination to want to take consideration of other people's feelings and sensitivities. It increases the level of trust, transparency, and willingness to be vulnerable so that there can be depth and connection. Okay, that's the algorithm that transfers from 7th house to 8th house in our connections and dealings, going from surface into the depth, the deep. Our morals is what preserves a sense of peace and security. That is what it is there for. When you show that you're a person who doesn't have a moral compass or moral sensitivity, self-awareness, intuitive knowing of what others are feeling or could be feeling, or predictability of what others could feel if you were to do or say this, people are not going to trust you. They're going to want to get the fuck from around you because you're reading as uncivilized. You're a danger. You're a threat. You have harmful ways about yourself. You're toxic. You got bats flying around you. So people ain't gonna want to deal with you. I use myself as an example, you know, in my community, all right, as an Asiatic Moabite, understand? Hebrew, who we've been calling ourselves African American, Negro, Black, and Colored, in our communities, nobody like niggas. Sound ironic, don't it? It's the truth. Black people, so-called, don't like niggas. When you see niggas, you ready to get the fuck out of there. If you're going to an event, you're bringing your family somewhere, you're going to enjoy yourself, you're looking for a place to move, to move your family into. You scan the place to make sure you don't see niggas. Niggas are people who do not have a moral compass. Niggas are people who are uncivilized and untrained. Niggas are people whose fourth house is fucked up. Niggas are people whose fourth house did not have home training. They weren't raised. They just grew like wild weeds. They have no shame. They are shameless. There's no threshold that tells them that what they're doing or saying is wrong, bad, or harmful. So nobody want to be around niggas. Black people don't want to fuck with niggas. Nobody like niggas. Yeah. And that's the reason why. Because at the foundation, the fourth house, nobody gave them a strong moral foundation. So they can't be trusted because they are less than civilized. When you don't have a fourth house foundation in which the moral compass is set with a acute sensitivity and self-awareness, nobody gonna want to fuck with you. Understand? Because I can't trust you. When the pressure comes on, what will you do? What will be your behavior? Because without a moral compass, you'll do anything to obtain what you value. Listen, you will do anything to obtain what you value. You'll go through the patriarchal course of strong-arming, violence, criminality, ruthlessness, aggression, domination, control, deceit, lies. Because you don't have a moral compass. Your intuition is not something that you have grown to learn to obey, to show obedience to. Your oracle is casting inaccurate reads. Your consciousness is shot. That makes you an animal, less than civilized, a mammal. You see how that works? Jupiter is here in Cancer, expanding for us a realization of this need in our life. Not only to recalibrate our moral compass, but to put the AED on it to revive it, resuscitate it. Clear, shock, clear, shock. The shit is about to fucking flatline. We are acting out the dead corpse status, all caps, of the fictitious character, but we have yet to tap into and realize, align with the divine being, the living, the true and living being within, internally. We have not brought that alive. The desperation of keeping up with the corporate impulses that we are programmed to react to. Becoming quite Machiavellian in our ways. The ibex that scales the mountains, but you have no humanity. A piece of shit walking the earth with money. A piece of shit walking the earth with status. A piece of shit walking the earth with all kind of property. Physical things to attain. Consumables. Power. Authority in the land. Yes, you get all these things that Satan gives to you. But at what cost is it? You have to sell your soul to reach such heights. What is the soul that's being sold? The soul that's being sold is this. It's a true and living being at the fourth house, the inner child. You sell the inner child. You sell the true and living being. Because a true and living being can only be in the image and likeness of Allah or God. It has that one image, expressed in many ways. The true and living being. But you have to trade the true and living being, sell the true and living being for your obsession and growing the fictitious character, becoming the ambitious, uncivilized tyrant, oppressor, trickster, worshiper of money and worldly success. Everything that the intuition tells you, the moral compass, the inner child, gets ignored in order to scale those heights. Because you can't do both at the same time. They are polarities. Overemphasis in one is betrayal of the other. There's a fine balance to be observed. Where we're coming from, the emphasis, the overemphasis was at Capricorn, the Ahrimanic, the Machiavellian, the Rothschild Rockefeller ideal. You had to throw away your morals, your connection to the divine mother within, Yemaya. You had to terrorize the inner child, exploit the inner child, contradict the moral compass and matriarchal law within, betray the intuitive compass, ignore the oracle to achieve such heights and status through the corporate model, the corporate ideal. We're going the reverse, the opposite direction. And when you go the opposite direction, emphasizing Cancer rather than Capricorn, number 9 has manifested. That is the number 9 Hermit card, Virgo. Those who are on a number 9 life path, that's exactly what they are subject to right now. Coming back to the divine center and identity of the self, leaving behind the incorporated fictitious characters of the self. Get to the bag, consumerism, status, validation, competition, ruthlessness, cutthroat, ambitious, But in order to indulge in those things, you have to betray the matriarchy. The matriarchy is a part of the self that tells you to take care of yourself. Get enough rest. Eat healthy. Don't keep bad company. That's not safe. Don't subject yourself to regrets. Do not subject yourself to shame. Do not make decisions that will bring harm upon your mind, that will terrorize you psychologically after you have done it. Do not ignore your intuition. Honor and show obedience to the instructions of the oracle within, the intuitive guiding wisdom, the small still voice within that tells you that what you're doing is not good for you, it's not healthy for you. But what drives us away from that is not only that Capricorn theory, but it is also Venus, the detriment of Venus, our lusts, the things that we lust for. And when we have to face the consequences of that, it manifests the hellfire. And we want to blame everyone for why we fell into the hellfire, instead of taking accountability on our betrayal to the matriarchy. The matriarchal constitutional law within the self. This is what has to be fed. This is what has to be nurtured. This has to be nourished. This has to be emphasized. Our awareness of it has to be expanded and heightened and given depth to, for us to revive this part of ourselves as the people. Because this is what's going to further our civilization, not higher skyscrapers, not more businesses, not more dividends, not more entrepreneurs. That is not going to increase civilization, because that is not civilization. Civilization is always going to be consistent with matriarchy. Fourth house, Cancer, Moon. Your lunar placement lets you know what you need to feel emotionally whole, what you have to express in order to be emotionally balanced within yourself. It's how your emotions are expressed where your lunar placement is at. And the moon is representative of the mother in a natal birth chart. There's a reason for that. She's an archetype of the matriarchal principle. Matriarchy has to rise. Matriarchy has to be restored. Matriarchy has to come to power and elevation. But where the missed opportunity is at is when feminists are teaching this. When feminists are explaining this. When feminists are talking about this, they got it all backwards. Because they ain't got shit to do with what the fuck they've been talking about. Not a goddamn thing. They got it all backwards. It is true, yes. Rise of the matriarchy. But it damn sure ain't a bunch of women running around in high heels and butt ass naked, can't put no damn clothes on, acting a fucking donkey. Sex crazy, loud, obnoxious, ignorant shit coming out of their mouth. That ain't got nothing to do with matriarchy. That is betrayal of matriarchy. That is mutiny to matriarchy. That is mockery of matriarchy. It's an opposite direction. Matriarchal wisdom is where conduct and character begins. is what informs our character. And character is destiny. Our destiny depends upon our moral compass, our moral capacity, our moral wisdom. And what needs to be clarified is the destiny of the natural person, the true and living being, not the destiny of the fictitious character, the incorporated being, the incorporated person. Those are two different destinies, two different identities. One is a corpse and one is living. Matriarchy speaks to the true and living person, not the incorporated being. Because where the duality kicks in, is spiritual success could very well look like worldly failure. Spiritual success could look like worldly failure, and vice versa. Worldly success could look like spiritual failure. Vice versa. This is what we got to understand about duality. We have free will to decide on what we're emphasizing here. And some people will never be able to make up their mind about it. The success of the true and living person or the success of the fictitious character. They have two different routes. There can be a single route if we're willing to have acceptance for what peace, security, fulfillment, and happiness really means. Once we learn to purge perversions out of our spirit, lust out of our spirit, addiction out of our spirit, codependency out of our spirit, competition out of our spirit. When these things are bled out of our spirit, we're able to realize what real success is. Answer is about righteousness. This is where we understand what righteousness means. As said in book of Proverbs 14:34, you heard? Righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is a reproach to any people. Righteousness exalts a nation. Cancer Jupiter. In all nations right now, everyone is striving to exalt themselves independently with self-determination. This is the season of coup d'etats. The season of expulsions, rebellions, revolutions. Look at Burkina Faso, South Africa. Look at this nation. Everywhere all over the world, it's about we got to clean our own house. We got work to do in our own home. Everybody's coming back to Cancer. They're coming back to the moon. They're coming back to the mother. Everybody's bowing knee, heel, and foot to the mother. Your nation, your origin, from whence you came. That which gave you identity, status, and legacy. And righteousness is always the culture between mother and child. It's innate in us. Every mother wants to see their child be a good, productive citizen, a good person, good manners, good morals, good character. Unless, by exception, of course, there's something really wrong, okay, with the mind. But we know it's natural that a mother takes pride in the character and behavior of their child when they get to see their teachings into that child take effect into the world. Excuse me, please, thank you. Wash your hands. Are you going to share? Did you ask your sister if she wants some? Are you going to help the old lady with her grocery bags? It's the only way a mother can feel like satisfied in what she instilled or taught, is to see the best of them expressed. So likewise it is with the nation. What are we producing? We see what we're producing when we look at our children, the children of the society. That's what lets us know what we're producing. What is their status? What is their mindset? Their beliefs? What are their ways? No amount of money getting, productivity, business, corporate ambitions can make up for or supplement the lack of moral rectitude in the society. When the morale and when morality is shot in a society, the society's dead. It's through. When boys and girls don't know what bathroom to go into. It's through. When parents cannot step in to protect their children from lifelong, permanent decisions. To chop off their, they thing, because they believe that they were supposed to be a girl or they were supposed to be a boy. But a mother, a father or mother cannot step in by the law. There's no way we would be exalted with a status like that. We can only go down. We can only go down when the females of your nation, of your society, see nothing wrong with being ran through. Going from man to man to man to man sleeping around. Taking pride in it. Taking pride in being all used up. When you got characters like Diddy, with lots of money and influence, doing the unthinkable, but still being admired. You have a society where the Epstein list people are playing dead in your face. Little girls was involved. Human trafficking was involved. And you got people trying to throw smoke screens and distractions so that they don't get called out. And the people are not in an outrage. The streets should be flooded. For the babies? Only righteousness is going to exalt the nation. You have to get back to good, bad, right, wrong, because that's part of justice. It's the first expression of justice. The moral compass is the first expression of justice. It's where justice begins. This is what's happening in all of our lives right now because Capricorn Pholus is creating the tragedies, the uncontrollable circumstances that falls apart at the Capricorn placement of your natal chart. Also the 10th house, careers, your ambitions, what you're determined to accomplish or do, the responsibilities and duties of loads upon you. All of these things are going to cause an expansion of the realization of our need to reconcile with Cancer, to reconcile with the Divine Mother, to make peace with the Divine Mother, which includes family, marriages, restoration of the family and marriages. It's undoing what Lyndon B. Johnson did through the welfare state, through the rise of abortions, feminism, the push for the mindset of living independent and single culture. Sex crazy. God is undoing all of that. In the 10th house is where we are not going to get fulfillment. Careers, jobs, status of careers and jobs. No, nobody is going to get happiness and fulfillment or security out of that pursuit because Pholus is there making sure that if you think you get ready to set up shop right there, I'm going to knock that nest off. I'm going to kick it to the fucking floor. You ain't setting up shop in the 10th house no more. All y'all motherfuckers get the fuck out the 10th house and stop trying to set up shop in the 10th house. Find your talent, your gifts that comes in the form of a service for humanity. Find your way to make life out of that, to make peace out of that, because that's what you're supposed to pursue. Because the priority now has to be family and community, which includes man, woman, and child, together, harmoniously. Not this career addiction, this career crazed society. It's the aftermath of feminism. Feminism is fallen and feminism is burning. Career. College degree. I got a degree. That's the very thing right there that the universe is conspiring against. It's knocking it down. All these degrees became irrelevant when Trump got in office. Don't none of their degrees matter anymore. Their career ambitions came to a screeching halt. Overnight. By the stroke of Donald Trump's pen. That's Capricorn Pholus. Knocking you off from that 10th house addiction. Sit your ass down in the 4th house and figure that shit out. Because that is where the abuse has taken place. The mutiny, the betrayal. You are fugitives of the 4th house. We are morally criminals when we take the 4th house and we alienate ourselves from it and set up permanent shop in the 10th house with our addictions and lust for power, status, money, and consumerism and competition. God ain't having it.